name is Fasiha Hassan. Welcome back to another episode of ANC Connect. Today we have with us the ANC Treasurer General, Comrade Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa. She's here with us in studio today, and we're going to be talking about a few policy issues, but we're mostly going to be focusing on election day, how we're going to get the vote out, the importance of all those different issues. But let's start, TG, our conversation with something that I hear a lot when we do our door-to-doors. So many people say to us, well, the economy. What are we doing about business? What are we doing to boost economic development? So let me start by asking you, what's your message to the business community?
Thank you very much, Fasia, and greetings to the viewers and the listeners. Indeed, everything's about business. Government should enable business to thrive, and business must get into the business of business and ensure that they are profitable and they can employ more people in our country. Over 70% of jobs are in the private sector. So it is important for us as we transform our society and our economy that business gets to be more productive. Business opens up for more people. You know, Fasia, the one thing that we must also do is to look at the many young people that have degrees, diplomas and certificates and other skills as a demographic dividend. We need to be free to open up so that they can help us grow the economic cake. So that is a major focus area for the ANC, and that's why I'm calling on all of us to go out and vote and be able to enable the ANC to build on the experience. The issue of youth unemployment for us, it is a very pressing matter, and we also know that if they get involved in the economy, so business must not be anxious to bring in young people. As the world changes, we also need that youth outlook of things to enable business to thrive. And it may be that business is not doing well because it doesn't have enough young people in it. So it is a demographic dividend. That's what I want to send to our business community. But also to say that South Africa and Africa are economically endowed. Having been the advisor in the presidency on the district development model, every district in our country is so economically endowed. We need to focus on beneficiating our minerals, focus also on agriculture, beneficiation, what we call agro-processing. So opportunities are vast.
You're quite right, TG. All those different, I would say, untapped economic opportunities. But why is it important for people to vote in an ANC majority? You know, a lot of people are talking about tactical voting, where they want to mix the different votes. What's your message about why it's so important to deliver an ANC majority?
The ANC, where it has a majority, is always inclusive. And it's always focusing on transformation and on progress for everyone else. But we have seen in the recent past that where the ANC does not have an outright majority, we don't have, other political parties that advance democratically, that they can take our, especially municipalities, forward. We have seen in Gauteng, we've seen also, even in KZN, I mean, the Durban itself, eThekwini itself. We've seen Nelson Mandela Bay Metro as well. So where the ANC does not have an outright majority, there's always been challenges of policy cohesion. There has been challenges of effectively redressing the past inequalities. So it is important for the ANC to receive a vast majority so that we can continue to build on the progress of the past 30 years. And we have also been alerted that there could be decay. And we have identified those elements, risk factors for decay, for lowering the guard, for leaders not to focus on the servant leadership but on themselves. And we have instituted a program of renewal. We have introduced very harsh measures in our constitution for people to step aside, and we've seen that it works. Unfortunately, those who do not agree with the renewal have moved out. Perhaps it's fortunate for us that the ANC can now focus on the task at hand to do more for our people, with our people, for the betterment of our country.
So many people over the last few weeks have had very polarizing views on the National Health Insurance, the NHI. I know you're the former MEC of health, that's right, health in Gauteng, but also you're a qualified doctor. And I think you're one of the subject matter experts on the NHI. I'm quite interested in your view, yes, on NHI, but why it's so necessary. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of doom and gloom around NHI, and I think that's the wrong perception of it. What's your thoughts?
Fasia, that's a very important matter as part of nation building. You'd recall that post-World War, there was a Pacific Pact that was put together for countries that were at war to improve the quality of life of ordinary citizens. Unfortunately, the African people, although they were involved in those wars, they were not included in there. So one of our president generals, Dr. Abikuma, convened an African conference to discuss this. And amongst others, that was 1940s, and amongst others, there was a resolution in line with what the world was moving towards, that there be a free medical health care service, so that when people are in their most vulnerable moments, we in solidarity help them to get out of it without looking at how deep their pockets are. So if you look at, for instance, Britain, the national health system there is a universal health coverage. So we are fulfilling a desire of the people of South Africa to have universal health coverage. And this is a decision, it's a consensus decision of the United Nations. And that's why universal health coverage is one of the Sustainable Development Goals. So we need to celebrate that indeed our country, the president has signed the NHI into law. There are 6 building blocks in health, and the NHI is just one of them. It is the financing, but it's the most critical. The others include the human resources for health, and we have seen our nurses and our doctors, they are qualified, but they cannot be absorbed in the public sector, they cannot be absorbed in the private sector. Pulling together our resources as a country would enable us to create more opportunities for our health workers who are actually honored all over the world as highly skilled, highly trained, and they can be able to serve South Africa better. But the other thing about NHI, my experience, both as a Deputy Minister of Health and also as the MEC for Health in Gauteng for many years, is that we have experience in our country of working together, public, private, for the betterment of the people of South Africa. I've used private health, what I can call extra, available extra hours for their theatres to assist in reducing the backlogs in the public sector. During COVID, we worked together. It did not matter whether it is public or private, the quality of services were the same. So this is all about how do we pledge social solidarity when people are at their most vulnerable moments. You don't have to ask someone to show that they have 20,000 rands in their bank account. There wouldn't be a need for you whilst you are in pain to phone your medical aid, because all of us would be covered.
You know, TG, I was coming back from an election program the other evening. I was filling up petrol, and so I obviously had a conversation with the petrol attendant. You know, we're always in election mode discussing. And in that conversation, he said to me, actually, I'm very proud of the president. I'm very proud of the ANC. That health, well, he didn't quite know it was called NHI, but he said that health coverage thing.
Yes.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
And it's a good thing, Fasia.
Exactly. And this is somebody who, like you said, really good person, trying to make a better life for themselves. You know, petrol attendant, this is often some of our most marginalized of societies. And here he was in such a profound way saying, this is what we wanted. This
Indeed.
is what we need.
When we consulted over the bill, one gentleman actually said it was really difficult for him because he was medically covered, but the rest of his family was not. And when they were involved in a car accident, then the son was taken up by the private ambulances, but the grandparents of his son were not on medical aid. So you actually, although our constitution does not allow that, but you also help the health professionals not to serve capital, but to serve the people of South Africa. It makes everything so easier. So it is for the benefit of everyone, rich or poor. We will all contribute to the same pool. We will all benefit from the same pool. And should you have dreaded diseases like cancer, you don't stand a chance of being rendered completely poor, you know, from using your own savings and all that. So it is what we call social solidarity. It's the most humane and most developmental intervention.
I think even after elections, we need to continue this conversation. Yes. Because there's actually no negative to the NHI. It can only provide positive outcome in society. And whether you're a young doctor, whether you're a young lawyer like myself, you know, there's no negative. And I think we need to do a lot more work in our society to show people its importance.
Indeed.
But TJ, I want to cover something a little bit different now. We've seen you on the campaign trail, on the officials' campaign trail. It's been insane. I think I saw you one day, you were in the Northern Cape early in the morning, and then I saw you in KZN in the afternoon, like crisscrossing the country like a superwoman. So congratulations for pushing at that level for us at the ANC. But I really am more interested, you know, we hear the stats, we hear all the polling, we hear all the negative, all the positive here and there. But I'm more interested, TG, in your experience, the human experience of meeting with South Africans, with voters, also with non-voters, but what was that like?
Fasia, the tradition of the ANC is always to humble itself as leaders and throughout as members to the society that we serve. And we did that with laws. For instance, we've just talked about NHI. We went also door to door, community to community and all that. However, for preparations for these elections, we crisscrossed the whole country, indeed.
She's not joking. TG
and we
literally
went
crisscrossed
home,
country.
Yes, we visited homes in rural areas, in urban areas. We interacted with the young and old. We interacted with business, with professionals, and generally with everyone, with organized labor. And the feedback we have is really that people appreciate that the 30 years have changed South Africa for the better. For instance, in Gauteng, there was no Gautrain.
Yeah.
It's there, it's concrete. In rural areas, we were, well, maybe about 30% coverage of electricity. Now we are almost 94%.
Correct.
So there are concrete deliverables that are appreciated by our people. But however, we also came across challenges. For instance, there was a sewer burst in one community in the Free State. And this young man was really anxious to say it's almost 3-4 days now. It's affecting them. And part of going to communities is to identify those pressure points and be a responsive African National Congress. And that's what we did. And I'm glad that the MEC for Transport, the mayor there, they came in and they managed to assist the communities. We even went back there to give a report to the community. We went to Vembe. We found big houses in a rural area. Very encouraging, really. But there was a family which was very destitute. The house was almost half burnt, and we just felt that there's a need for the ANC not to come in and see problems and just leave as if they didn't touch us. So we managed to galvanize business people around there to build a house for this gentleman. And fortunately, we also found that he was a bishop in his own church. So we said, we have given the little that we could, which is a house, but we're going to get much, much more, which are prayers for the ANC and for the people of South Africa. Tomorrow, we'll be going to Malmesbury as well, an old lady. Unfortunately, her grandchildren do not even have IDs. They can't access, even the opportunities for grants and all that. And when I asked her, what is the one thing you would like us to do for you? She said, get documentation for my children and grandchildren so that they can at least be assisted by government. So we managed to get the intervention from Home Affairs, and we also galvanize businesses in the Western Cape. Yeah. We're going to hand over a house tomorrow to her. So it is also these positive feedback that we can galvanize society around our own people to indeed together do more for one another. We came across many young people who didn't even know about NSFAS. Some know about NSFAS, but they also want opportunities. So we even went to cleaning campaigns in my own township, one of the townships that were the cleanest in South Africa. It was so dirty. And it was so heartbreaking. So we got down to do work. We got the private sector to come in because we didn't understand why the municipality.
This is in Atteridgeville, am I right?
That's in Atteridgeville, my hometown, born and bred there. So we also go back to where communities contributed to who we are, but we also serve all other communities. It is really, really humbling to be welcomed in homes and people sharing their vision, their experiences, and there is no better way than going door to door, voter contact, and helping South Africans to celebrate the 30 years of freedom, which they greatly appreciate. They remember how bad things were in the past. Young people, when they read and get to know, they know that, and they get committed to making South Africa even much more better than it is. So, and that's why we are confident that from the work we've done, including reporting back on the 2019 manifesto, the ANC will be voted, will be given another mandate, overwhelmingly so, to continue doing more with and for South Africans.
I want to pick up on something that you've just said, that servant leadership concept. And Cde, you mentioned so many examples of ordinary people that you interacted with and the difficulties they faced. And I think for me, this idea of servant leadership is not about the pomp and the ceremony of the election campaign. It's about going into people's homes and solving their issues. And I think one of the things that we've really grown to respect, not only about yourself, but of course about the culture, the true identity, the true character of the ANC, is very much servant leadership.
Yes.
And I'm so glad, and I think I'm in awe to see that even tomorrow you'll be going back into communities, giving people homes. And for me, this is what the ANC is about. It's not about the perceptions people have on the news of corrupt leaders or, this crass materialism concept. And here we have a leader, a woman, very well qualified, who's gone into all of these different spaces, provided services, but also not arrogant. Where we've made mistakes as the ANC, we're acknowledging them. And I'm glad you mentioned Attridgeville actually, because Attridgeville in the city of Tshwane is under the DA. And we've been going into these spaces and we've seen, unfortunately, that the DA has just abandoned communities. And I think there's something to be said about us as the ANC going back, constantly going back to where we come from, and really trying to do what I think is the true manifestation of renewal.
Yeah, Fasia, I don't like talking about other political parties, especially negatively, but my experience is that parties like the DA, who have benefited, whose leadership in particular benefited tremendously from the past apartheid laws,
Oh, yeah.
they do not have adequate in-depth understanding of where disadvantaged, previously oppressed communities are. And they also lack the understanding of how to pull them out of where they come from. So it is important that we understand those shortcomings. They will take many years, if not centuries, to really understand the whole process of transformation, of redress. And that's why when we come with a broad-based black economic empowerment, is it Musi, my money?
Yes. Same guy.
Was also kicked out, amongst others, because of that.
And many black women as well.
Yes, when Lindiwe, the young lady who was really vociferous, when she realized and became more conscious of who she is, what her roots are, how she can assist in redressing, it was too much for her party. She had to step off leadership.
Yeah.
So I think as the ANC, we support the multi-party democracy. However, we also say that the South Africans must know that there is no political party that is rooted adequately amongst communities in South Africa to be able to execute this big task of redress, whilst we ensure that, there's a shared prosperity.
Quite right. TG, you have already voted.
Indeed, I've
Tell
voted.
us where you voted. Tell us, I think you're ahead of all of us in the country.
Yes.
Tell us about your experience about voting.
I voted at the Kailami Preparatory School, and the IEC officials were very professional, they were very caring, and I think there were about 6 or 7 people who were coming to vote, citizens, and in a very positive mode. We greeted, obviously we didn't indicate who's going to vote for what. It's not time for discussing that. And I had to show my ID, and I was then given the voting papers and also inked to show that indeed I've voted. There are 3 ballot papers. The first one is national, it's written national. I voted ANC. The second one, it is provincial, it's written provincial, Gauteng. I voted the ANC. And the third one is regional, it's also written Gauteng, and I also voted the African National Congress, the ANC. So I really, really want to recommend that we come out early. And after voting, you fold your paper and you put the national in the national ballot box, the provincial in the provincial ballot box, and the regional in the regional ballot box to make it easier for counting.
So there's 3 different boxes.
There are 3 different boxes. It will make it easier to count, because if you have different papers in different boxes, they will have to sort it out first before counting. So we look forward to our party agents to also assist the IEC to ensure that indeed the voters are assisted, as I was assisted, as those who voted with me were assisted. It felt great, and it's the right thing to do. It is a national duty to go out and vote. It's better to vote early. I was there by 9:30, and because we needed to give also IEC a chance to sort themselves out and be prepared for us. And I'm also happy that our table was there to also assist voters to come out. The local ANC branch members were there. My chairperson was there, my secretary, my treasurer, they were there, and it's quite good. It felt quite good. The mood is positive, and for those that are still voting today, the voting stations close at 5 o'clock. Also for those that still have to vote tomorrow for special votes, let's go early so that we can all vote before the end of the day. But the big day is on Wednesday, the 29th of May,
And what
2024.
times? So on election day,
Yes.
what times are the voting stations open?
On election day, the voting stations, if I'm not mistaken, open at 7 o'clock in the
7
morning.
a.m., yeah.
So we need to be there by 7 o'clock when they open, and they close at 9 o'clock. We really encourage
9 p.m. in the evening.
9 p.m. in the evening. No, it wouldn't be 2 hours.
Yeah.
7 a.m. in the morning, 9 p.m. in the evening. And let us go early with our eligible members who can vote and who must vote on the day. If there are still elderly people or even people with disability who need assistance, every one of our branch, they are available to be contacted to also assist with transport to vote. This is our civic duty. This is our nation-building contribution. It's our democracy. Let's all go out there and vote.
You've heard it from TG, very, very clear. I also just want to tell those who might watch this on election day to take their time. You have your 3 ballots, don't make a mistake, because you can only vote for one party. It is the African National Congress. And if I'm right, TG, yes. I think we're at position number 4 on the ballot paper, if I'm correct. I think so.
It does not matter, but we are in the top.
The first segment.
The first segment. We are in the first segment. It doesn't matter because when you now start talking about numbers,
it gets confusing.
Yes, it may get confusing because the number is not the same for every province. So the important message is that we are in the top 10.
Okay.
And then look for the African National Congress, the face of none other but President Cyril Madamela Ramaphosa, and the ANC emblem as well, and then put your cross. What I always try and raise as well during voter education is that your cross must be inside the white box.
Yes.
It mustn't touch the black lines around the box, because once it touches, it may actually go to the next one and it may be a spoiled vote. So vote within the white box and vote for the ANC. Look for the African National Congress, ANC, the face of President Cyril Madamela Ramaphosa, and the emblem of the African National Congress. And please vote right, vote early, vote with everyone at home who is there eligible to go and vote. And young people, yes, you can give one another lift so that as you are waiting, you can also chat amongst yourselves.
Yeah, it can
let's
be a fun
enjoy
experience.
it. Yes, let's make it a fun experience, but let's go out because this is really nation building, and we look forward to an overwhelming majority for the African National Congress as a mandate really for the ANC to continue transforming our country for the better.
True. TG, just before we wrap up here, 47% of the registered voters are between the ages of 18 and 39.
Yes.
What's your message to young people? You mentioned a little bit about it now, but what's your message to young people? Why is it important to vote? Why is it important to vote for the ANC?
Fasia, you know, when I watched the march of the ANC Youth League in Soshanguve against crime and criminality, it took me back when I was young. And when I was young, we went tavern to tavern, shebin to shebin, saying that the patrons must be disarmed. We really, and they really agreed with us. So they were disarmed so that they can enjoy themselves and all that. I could also walk alone from church to home, feeling safe. The young people dealt with the social crime prevention issues. And one thing that we missed was an ANC Youth League that is vibrant, that's able to also mobilize society, that can also take up issues of concern of young people. So we do, since the Youth League was, came from a very successful conference, that gap is being closed. And we want young people to be part and parcel of organization. They must be and feel part of this society that is evolving. Because indeed, we are handing over the baton to young people. This is our country. Otherwise, young people from all over the world will come here and govern them. They'll come and hire them instead of them, you know, as young people taking the reins. We said we will create a South Africa free of oppression, free of apartheid, for them to take this country to the next level. Economic prosperity is absolutely key. So we would like and I've been really awed by the intuition of young people to solve problems. They look at problems more in the long term. I was also very encouraged by young people when I went to a by-election in the Eastern Cape. And they were indicating how some of the problems of our country can be resolved, where they want to take their country, their communities, and that's what we want. So to all young people, make time. Go out and vote. This is your country. This is a future that is in your hands as well. So vote and vote the ANC. Be in organization. Many of the difficult problems that you may be facing can be solved if we put our heads together. And that's why we're saying, let's do more together.
That's incredible. TG, my last question to you. You hear in communities, the ANC is going to win anyway. It's all right if I don't vote. I'm too tired. Or, you know, you get all these different things that people say. What's your message to them in this particular 2024 election?
We have the difficulties in a number of municipalities, which has affected also the service delivery issues that you mentioned, Fasia, because many of, especially in the ANC stronghold, felt that, the ANC has been winning all the years. They will win again. So there's no time for complacency. In as much as many of us want the ANC to win and our country to move forward, there are those that are lurking on the sidelines, wanting the ANC to be weaker. For what? So that the past dominations should remain. So we are asking every member of the ANC, every supporter of the ANC, to remember that this is a liberation movement. It is not yet Uhuru. There's still much more to be done together.
Gigi, a lot of people may not know, 53% of the registered voters rather, are over the age of 39. What's your message to them?
Thank you very much for the question. Those above the age of 39 have experienced in their lifetime the apartheid policies in their lives. They have seen white, non-white. They have seen and experienced the discrepancies. And some of them, they are, especially in their childhood, they have not survived, actually. Their family members may not have survived because of kwashiorkor and marasmus. Some have been negatively affected by the impact of the policies of apartheid. So it is us who, which I am included in them, who must remember where we come from and remember that it was over more than 300 years that we were oppressed, we were exploited, we were brutalized, and that many did not survive. And it is us who must remember that many sacrificed a lot for the freedom we enjoy today. So let us not be complacent, and we must also share these experiences with the younger generation so that they understand that our freedom was not free. And let us build on the 20 years, the first 20 years of redress, especially the first 10 years was more of creating a constitutional democracy and changing the laws of apartheid. The next 20 years was more of establishing a social security net, and that's when marasmus and kwashiorkor were eradicated. We still have a problem of, for instance, stunting, but we have eradicated very serious diseases, and we have also enabled our mothers to survive childbirth. The maternal mortality rate plummeted from about 170 per 1,000 mothers giving birth to 20, from 170 to 20.
That's incredible.
So the progress, that age group also remembers how devastating HIV was, and that we have conquered it now with antiretrovirals and other treatments. We must remember that we need more capacity to continue doing the good work. Indeed, the latter 10 years, we have overcome a lot together. We have overcome state capture. We know that SARS was almost completely destroyed. It has recovered. We now know that Eskom was amongst the best in the world, energy companies, and it was also almost destroyed. We are now experiencing its recovery. South African Airways is flying again. We even have a direct flight from South Africa to Brazil, amongst others.
Sao Paulo, yes.
Sao Paulo. So we are recovering, and we've even faced COVID together. So because we have gone through all this together, it is possible to do much more together. If we all go out and vote, let's not be complacent and say the ANC has always won, it will win. Democracy needs to be oiled every 5 years at national level, every 5 years at local government level, and it is all our responsibility. Let's not tire. It's our democracy. Let's advance it.
There you have it. From the Treasurer General of the African National Congress, every vote counts. Ballot 1, ANC. Ballot 2, ANC. Ballot 3, ANC. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next episode.